Hello, 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 everybody, everywhere. Hello, hello. Sending my hellos. It is after service. I need an after service praise and worship nap. I hope you've gotten yours and have relaxed and been able to sit with the word from the Lord that you heard, whether at your church or my church or however it has been done. Um, Welcome to Liberation Labs with Reverend Alexis, where we're really just going to break down the sermon that I preached to really talk a little deeper about what is going on in life. Sorry, I'm looking down, but I'm trying to make sure I share this on all the spaces and all the places to make sure everybody gets it. But we are taking this moment to really talk about break down the sermons. Many times that you hear your pastor, or you hear me preach a sermon, and then you got questions like, how did I get here? Or maybe you took notes, or you didn't hear something, or in the midst of our shout, right, you didn't get exactly what it is that you were to get out of it. So the concept was, let's have some liberation labs. Let's have some deeper conversations about what happens with ourselves and in the world, and what's going on with this here sermon and all that good stuff. So this week, we have started a sermon series called The Villains. And in the midst of the villains, it came from a concept that I recently heard, that a lot of times we talk about being like Jesus. And of course, it's naturally what we're striving to do. But you hear your sermons of being like everyone who is done a great job, right? You want to be like David when he's doing good. You want to be like Jesus. We always talk about the heroes that are in the Bible. And we specifically just hit back on them consistently. But it very rarely do we talk about the places that we actually are. So we are striving to be like Jesus, but at the same time, a lot of us are like Judas. A lot of us are, the Jezebels. A lot of us are the Thomases, the Doubting Thomases. So we get to this place where we're really sitting in and saying, hey, how do I actually connect with some of the people in the Bible? And not just everybody who's doing an excellent job, but what happens when I'm the villain? What happens when I'm the person in the story? And if you've seen the movie Wicked, the first half of it, no matter what parts of it you've seen, but I watched it and one day looked like, if my kid walks away from this thinking the pink Glinda, the pink witch is the one who's the good witch, then I'm doing something wrong in life. But at the same time, many times we believe that the good witch is actually the good witch, when in reality she's not. She's just assimilated, or she's found what she could possibly do. So we come to this moment where we talked about Saul. We're in the text, of 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 6 through 12, and we're talking about Saul. And it's the moment most of us, if you're a good Bible reader, you're familiar that Saul has this moment in which he gets upset because folks are singing and they're like, yeah, Saul killed his thousands, but David killed his 10,000s. And Saul hears this song and your boy is upset. He gets big mad, and from that point on, he is out to like harm David. Now, mind you, this whole celebration was for King Saul and King Saul's victory. So people are out to celebrate him, but at the same time, he has this moment where there's a killer in comparison. And I wondered, and I asked the question, have you ever sat in a space where someone else is celebrating and you're upset? Now, hear me. Disclaimer. I'm not talking about folks who celebrating the harm of other people and racism. This is an internal thing we're looking at. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we are looking at our own selves and saying, is there a moment that I noticed someone celebrating and I got upset? And maybe it hasn't been you, I doubt it, but you have seen somebody in some place who started celebrating, who was excited, and they telling you about their victories, and they're telling you all the good things that they're doing, and you mad, you big mad about what they've done. And a lot of times we feel like that anger is justified, but we don't realize it's a trigger. So there's something inside of us that has triggered us to the place where we can't even be happy for someone else's joy. That because our life is in disarray or there are things happening in our life, so we feel like we should have got it, right? We should have got the promotion. We should have got the marriage. We should have got these things. So I can't be genuinely happy for the person who actually got what I've been praying for. And we do that, and sometimes we get mad at God. We mad at the person. We start placing blame on people when it's really on us. That we never stop and take a moment to say, why does this trigger me? And I wonder how many times in your life that you have had to stop when something has hit you in your body and an emotion and a reaction has happened and you're trying to figure out, why am I reacting this way? Like, do you have the ability to say, oh, somebody says something, right? Or you're explaining a situation and you say, you begin to swell up, you begin to cry, right? Something builds up in you and you're not quite sure why you feel this way. So a lot of times that happens, I tell people, hey, when something swells up in you and you don't know what to do, stop and ask yourself, why do I feel like this? What caused this moment to occur? Why am I in my feelings? Why am I ready? Why did I smell this scent and now I want to fight somebody? Because a lot of times we have never sat in our own triggers. Now, triggers be the quick word. Folks be like, I'm triggered. They trigger me. But can you tell me why? And if that person or situation triggered you, do you know the depths of why I did it? Not just because I don't like that, because that bothers me, but really get to the depths of us. And here we are in a space where we have to now fight everything in the world, from racism, sexism, all the isms that we're fighting against. And we're not sitting with ourselves to say, can I even move? Can I fight racism if I can't handle simple triggers in my life? Like, that's the reality. I can't be out here talking big, bad, and fighting, and then one person say something crazy to me, and now I've lost it all. And as Christians, what we tend to do is when we get triggered, we do exactly what Saul did. We start throwing spears. We start throwing things at people. We start calling blames. Now don't nobody want to talk to so-and-so no more because this is how they are. We tend to then go into this space of comparison and we start throwing spears. Like, we just start finding stuff to throw at people. We start blaming them. We start talking about their life. We start talking about their kids. We begin this like conversation in our mind that we developed all because of our own unhappiness, all because of our own insecurity, all because of our own struggles and pains and trials that we've had to go through in life. And many times we just feel like it isn't fair. Like, you've got to sit with yourself and really come to a space to say, am I mad at what happened with them? Or am I mad because I didn't get it? Especially when I felt like I should have. And sitting with that thought is what's going to sit you to therapy, because that's where you really start getting to work. And the joy of at that moment going to therapy is now you can have a conversation with your therapist to know what to go to the altar for. Because now I can say, okay, if I respond like this because of the trauma that has happened in my life, now, Lord, release me. And many times we say there's still a stigma. I really hope there's still not a stigma about therapy in the church, because we're there now. But we sit there and the conversation goes to, I now have someone I can talk to about the things that have happened in my life. And now when I've been mad at people or I've reacted in this way, I've done this in such a manner because of me. Nothing these people have done. If you recall, during this time, David had just, I think he was the harp player and the Israelite DoorDasher. Like, his oil wasn't even oily yet. to the point where he was just sent to help Saul. He was there to be a helpmate in the moment. And Saul immediately got upset. Now I can go deeper and talk about how this is in the church, and church people get upset when the young people come in or somebody new joins the church. And then we get upset because the pastor's now calling on them, or people are now asking them, and they ain't asking me no more. But you never thought that your prayer was, Lord, give me some peace. Lord, I need a break. So you've been saying that for 10 years, and then your break comes and now you're upset. So the question is it not that you need a break, or is there something internally you need to deal with? And as we're moving and sitting, and you'll hear probably different things throughout this month from people in Mental Health Awareness Month, this is how your mental health gets messed up, because we are not truthful about ourselves and what we're going through. That we spiritual bypass and we're going to pray it off and everything will be okay. But people recognize and realize that there are people who have been grieving for 20, 30 years. And you've never had a moment to sit with yourself to say, is this how I actually feel, or even how I want to feel in this moment? And that's triggers. That's what Saul's triggers really hit on, is the fact that Saul never had a moment. He had been praised this entire time. He had been anointed. You were called for this moment. You said, Lord, I hear you. You went through all of this. You talked to Samuel. All these things happened. You thought you were in. And now somebody else shows up which just played a better hand than you. And instead of having the ability to say, how do I work with you? Not how I use you, but how can we work hand in hand together? Many times we take it as a comparison, and then it becomes a problem. And it stems from things that we're dealing with in our own lives. It stems from our own insecurities. It stems from things that we have not let go. It stems from old resentment. It stems from a lot of things that we just have not released. So when we think about Saul, what would have happened if Saul had a conversation with himself and said, before I get mad at this little boy, Saul, what you mad for? Because they're calling your name. This your party, bruh. What if he looked in the mirror and said, this is my party. This is where I'm supposed to be. People are celebrating me because I delegated what needed to happen. I'm still the king. But because he got upset because he didn't do what he thought he should have done or been able to do, he then became angry and started throwing spears. And many times in our lives, that's what happens. And then we have the audacity to start praying to the Lord to harm them. To start praying to the Lord that, Lord, you didn't fix it for them, or we get mad. Lord, it must not be for me. So we have these moments instead of really sitting with ourselves. So Saul's triggers really is a moment where we're stepping back and we're saying to ourselves, hey, let me step back and have a moment with myself. Let me talk to the God in me. And when I can talk to the God in me, then everything else in my life will come down. The trauma that I can process can now be properly unpacked. And I'm not walking around angry and hurt. That now the thing that angered me 5 to 10 years ago that hurt me to my core. So this is not a moment where I'm saying, listen, let the God in you come up and push everything down. Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen at the end. But the process of letting your God self come up and your inner feelings come down is a matter of being able to unpack it. It's a matter to say that I'm going to therapy, I'm going to talk to some people, that I'm going to handle my mental health to ensure that I look like Christ. And that's the end goal. The end goal is that people don't want to see you for your trauma. They want to see the God in you. That when you walk in the room, they don't look at your pain. That's not the first thing they see. They see the power and the light that you have. And while we live in a world that, causes pain, there's a whole list of other issues that are happening in this world. This month, I urge us to take a moment to focus on us, so that when it's really time to dig in and we got to continue this fight for justice, that we have the ability to be stable and balanced. When we're not stable and balanced, God can't move properly. We out here just loose, doing whatever, not considering our neighbors. We just out here. But when we have the ability to live a balanced and stable life mentally, not too much can frustrate you. You can fight injustice when you sat with yourself to say, first, what is unjust inside of me? And when you have that moment and God comes in, there is a collaboration that happens that is magical, that is beautiful, and you will feel free. And ultimately, that's also the goal, is to feel free in your body, to be able to walk into spaces, to be able to talk to people, that when people see you, they want to know how I get what you got. And not the fake joy that I walk in happy all the time, not to make sure everybody all right, and then you go home and cry. That's called you're not stable. That's called you need to work on some things. Not you just running out showing for folks. But you have the ability to sit with yourself and say, yo, I'm not okay. This has happened. So-and-so said something to me and it triggered me, and I've been mad for 2 weeks. And then somebody else told me to get over it. So I got over it, but I'm still mad. So every time I smell Chanel No. 5, because that's what that lady wore that day, deep anger rises up in me. And what this is outlandish and extreme as this example may seem, that's literally how it works. That you have been living your best life, going about life, doing the things that you want to do, and then something happens that triggers you, that causes an emotional reaction within you, whether it be anger, sadness, whatever happens in that moment. You have this emotional reaction that triggers you to now respond in a way that's not godlike. That responds in a way that it does not bring peace, love, joy, or hope. It definitely, you out here cussing people out because of stuff with you. Ain't got nothing to do with what someone said, what someone did. They walked past you with the scent that you remember Miss Johnson wore or your old counselor wore, and you know everybody who wear that scent suddenly always want to fight you and disrespect you. And while we have to come to a place where we have the ability to pause and say, what am I experiencing right now in my body? And some people are going to say, I don't have a moment to pause. In a moment, I just got to react. Well, that's how people go to jail. So I advise you to take a moment to pause and say, why do I have this feeling? And then the prayer is, God, reveal to me what it is that I'm feeling in this moment, because it may not come to you immediately. But God, reveal to me what I'm feeling in this moment so that I can no longer feel this and that you can free me from this feeling. So the liberation is in freedom of your body. The liberation frees you from anything that comes in and your body betraying you, simply because you have not taken the time to mentally ask yourself, why do I feel like this? But many times we let our triggers overpower it all. And now trigger has become a trigger word. And now we all just say we triggered. This person triggered me. That person triggered me. It's been the key word that people keep saying, instead of really sitting with what that means to be triggered. And what it really means to be triggered is that something made me uncomfortable in my body. And I need to find out why. Because it's causing me to react in a way that is not like me. And that just means I got to sit with my therapist and I got to sit with the Lord. So this Mental Health Awareness Month, I want everyone to take a moment and really sit with ourselves and have a moment to realize when we are the villains, when we've been the villains in this world, when we haven't been walking like Jesus, but we've been the person that's hindered or been throwing spears at somebody who ain't even done nothing to us, who ain't even caused no pain, ain't caused no issues. We're moving on. We just got to throw daggers at them because we don't like the way they move. If you can't define, I don't like the way you move, then it's probably you. If anybody will say to me, hey, I don't like her because I don't like the way she moves. If you can't tell me and articulate specifically what you don't like, then it's not a me problem, it's a you problem. And it's probably rude for me to say to people, but I will. But that's the reality of it. If I'm moving a certain way, it's because you feel like you can't. But God has given us all the same grace, the same mercy, the same power, the same strength, and the same ability to do exactly what we have been called to do. So I'm not going to hold us long, but I am going to say, find your freedom away from your triggers. That in the moment when you get triggered, take a moment, stop and say, why do I feel like this? What is happening in my body that I need to connect to? And then go to your therapist, unpack it, find you a good therapist. BetterHelp, they got discounts. It's all right. Go to a therapist and unpack why those things trigger you and cause you to have an emotional reaction. And then in the meantime, in between time, that's what you at the altar for. Now you're at the altar saying, Lord, I need you to help me to release what has triggered me. And as you unpack, the Lord keeps moving. It's a cycle. It ain't a one-time line. It's a cycle. The Lord will know when to show up. The Lord will guide you through it, and you will know when to let the Lord in. So you won't block what God is trying to do because you'll already be open to saying, the Lord, I'm in a season of you changing me. So as we continue with this series of villains, really stop and consider, when have I not been like Christ? When have I needed to change and look at myself differently? When have I not taken care of my own mental health and now it's affecting everyone around me? And when we can stop and do that, that is what makes us magical Christians. That is what makes us the beloved community. That is what makes us grow in our spirit and in our mind. That is what makes us who we are. So thank you for tuning in to Liberation Labs on today with Reverend Lex. And make sure that you sit with God at some point. If you didn't go to church today, have a little prayer moment. Let this be your sermon. If you did, then have a moment. Get you a praise and worship nap in. Make sure you eat some good food. But take a moment this week to sit with the Lord and say, Lord, when I get triggered, please reveal to me what it is that I need to see about me in order to unpack it, in order to deal with it, so that I am a better person for the people around me. Y'all be blessed. God bless y'all. Take care. Bye.